2024 has been a great year for the channel and also for the animal room. And while I was editing my last video, the animal room tour video, I noticed that none of the setups are the same today as they were a year ago. And not only did we add a lot of new ones this year, we also upgraded all of the old ones. Nothing is the same as in last year's video, and I'm really excited to show you how everyone is doing. So for this video, I thought it would be a really fun idea to recap the entire year and share some of my personal highlights of the year. Now, on top of that, I also just found an old notebook of mine. I was using this one back in 2023. And on one of the pages, it has a list of videos that I really wanted to make in 2024. Now, I totally forgot about this list, but I think it's really fun to also go over which of these videos I did end up making and which ones I haven't gotten to yet. But before we can get into what's in this notebook, we'll first have to take a look at this notebook. This is my current notebook, and I marked the page for a project that I'm working on that I'm gonna take you guys along with. This is a new stand. It will hold the biggest tank I've built yet. So yeah, let's build the stand. I've built a few stands before with varying designs, and for this one I'm testing out a new design. This stand will be replacing my oldest and ugliest stand. That one was really easy to make and served me well for a few years, but it definitely wasn't my best work. This new stand will look much better and will completely remove the screws from the side. Now, I'm gonna be honest here, I based this design off Circuit Design's recent stand design, which I think looks really good. I think notching the post was a really smart idea and makes for a good looking design. But instead of using pocket holes like Tanner, I prefer to use dowels. I made this simple jig to help me align them properly. It's funny that I'm making a new stand in the first video of the year, as back in January I was getting ready to add the first tank to a new stand as well. Behind the scenes I was working on my river tank, but that one wouldn't be done for some time. Instead, the first tank and first proper build video of the year was for my Blue Dream shrimp. I just finished reading the ecology of the plant Aquarium and was eager to implement what I just learned. After combining scraps to create a new scape, I created my very first dirted tank. This was a super easy and fun project that turned out great. After that, I collaborated with my brother and made a tank for his gobies. This tank turned out amazing, but there's something that makes this extra special. It was made in the first tank I bought back when I started out in this hobby. I later gave this tank to my brother to be his first tank, and now it's the first tank we made together. Which I think is pretty cool, but at the same time my hands were itching to finally make the river tank. At the time, it was my biggest project yet. And as you could expect, it came with the biggest challenges yet. The tank broke a grand total of 3 times before I was able to complete the build. This was a major test of perseverance, but luckily in the end I was left with an awesome aquarium. Today the tank still looks awesome and there's a lot I want to share about this tank, but I think all of that is better suited for another video. Now, before we continue with the recap, let's first clean out that corner so we can move in the stand. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is the biggest stand I've made yet and will hold my biggest tanks yet. And for the foreseeable future, this will be the biggest I can get. Whenever I'm building tanks and stands, I need to consider what will fit in the room. That much is obvious. But a less obvious fact I need to consider is making sure my creations fit up the stairs. None of the stands I've made so far were able to be moved up the stairs in one piece, and this one isn't any different. Additionally, with my animal room being on the first floor, I also need to consider the weight of everything to ensure my floor will hold. As you might have guessed, this means that these stands will not hold any aquariums. I'm going to keep the exact plans a secret for now, but I will share this. The bottom tank will be set up as a paludarium and hold a semi-aquatic animal, and the top one will be set up for a land animal. And be sure to let me know your best guesses down in the comments. Anyway, shortly after releasing the Riverscape video, the channel got monetized. Now, this was a really awesome milestone and I'm super grateful for reaching. I took my first YouTube paycheck and spent it all on new plants and fish for my pond. In the 1-year update video, I shared some of my struggles and highlights of the pond so far, and the video took off, becoming the best performing video of the year. It was also around this time that the original pond video reached a big milestone itself, 100,000 views. This was insane, especially since the video didn't start to get views till nearly 9 months after its release. following this success was one of my favorite videos so far, raising tadpoles. The development from tadpole to frog is something that will forever amaze me, and I did my absolute best at capturing that magic in this video. And be sure to expect another one of these videos this year, as I want to turn this into a yearly tradition. But after releasing these frogs, I knew I couldn't postpone getting frogs any longer. I got a group of fire-belly toads and set them up in this temporary enclosure. These goofy little guys make great pets and have been on my radar for a few years now. I especially like it when they float in the water with their legs all stretched out. I set them up in a tank that previously belonged to my ropefish. It recently became available when I moved them to a new tank. A custom-made plywood aquarium with a hidden cave and custom lava rock background. This tank was so much fun to make, and although it may not be scaped the way most people would, I absolutely love it. I'll do an update on this video shortly, so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Around this time, summer was in full effect and I was thoroughly enjoying my pond. So naturally, I had to make another pond video. Part of why I love this pond is that it has plants all around it and shooting out of the water. I decided to further this look to make the pond look even better. And while doing so, I noticed that the fish had bred. The pond was now full of baby fish, and hopefully we'll get to see these guys develop next year. And close to the release of this video, the original pond video hit another huge milestone.
200,000 views. That's insane. I absolutely did not expect that.
Going back inside, I wanted to create an aquarium with plants growing out the water, and that aquarium became the peacock gudgeon tank. On top of having plants growing out the top, this was also my first time experimenting with black water. I think this one turned out great, and just like the pond, this tank is full of babies. I think it's really fun to see my skills progress as the year goes on, but my best work of the year is yet to come. But before we get into that, I'm first recreating a fallen tree in a terrarium to house my colony of isopods. This setup in itself is pretty cool, but it is mostly set up to test out a few new techniques. I've never had front opening setups before and I wanted to test out the look of sliding doors. This turned out to look way better than expected.
Now that's great news, as the tanks that will go in here will not work without sliding doors.
On top of that, I think this is a way better way to keep isopods than in the bin I've been using before. These little guys got a massive upgrade, but the biggest upgrade of the year was for the fire-belly toads. Earlier in the year, I set them up in this temporary tank that definitely served them well, but it was never my long-term vision for these guys. I've spent the entire year honing my skills, and this project is a clear reflection of that growth. From finally being able to properly cut glass, to improving my composition skills, and of course being able to pull off that waterfall. This tank is definitely a highlight of the year by itself, but on top of that the video also did incredibly well, which is always awesome to see.
However, following this success, I got a message that I was not expecting.
Remember the tadpole video from earlier in the year? Well, apparently someone liked it so much they decided to re-upload it and claim it as their own.
Now this caught me completely off guard, as I thought my channel would be way too small to have to deal with these kinds of content thieves.
Now there's one detail I really like about this whole situation that most people might get angry about, but that's the fact that the re-upload got a lot more views than my video. To me, this shows the potential my content has and ensures me the channel can keep growing. I just hope that content thieves won't become an ongoing problem. Now there's one more build video left this year, and that of course is my Blue Dream shrimp tank. I already made them a tank at the beginning of the year, but it wasn't developing the way I hoped. So I scrapped it and made something completely different instead. This new tank allows me to better observe them, and the added space created an opportunity to add some new fish. The tank is still developing, but I can already see it becoming a beautiful lush jungle. Of course, with everything we did this year, it was only fitting to end the year with another room tour. And like I mentioned before, this made me realize everything that changed in the past year.
And that brings us back to this video. So now let's dive into the number. In 2024, all my videos combined got a grand total of 397,534 views. To some channels that might be very little, to me that's insane. I'm very happy with those numbers. Now, as for the watch time minutes, in 2024 we got 23,761 minutes of watch time, and that translates to roughly 16 days of non-stop watch time.
Hold up, wait a second. I made a really big mistake here. It's not minutes, it's hours. So it doesn't translate to 16 days, but 990 days. So I was slightly off, but you know, little details.
But you guys didn't only watch the videos, you also interacted with it. And in total, the channel got 397 comments and 7,300 likes. That's a lot again. I'm really grateful for those numbers. But the most insane metric on the list might be the subscribers. We started off the year with just over 1,000 subscribers. We reached it in one of the last days of 2023. So you could say roughly we were at 1,000 subscribers on January 1st. Today we are at 3,500, which means that in 2024 the channel gotten 2,484 new subscribers. Again, that's so many people. If I'm trying to imagine all of those people standing in front of me, that's a huge crowd. I'm very grateful. Thank you all so much for subscribing. That's insane. I got some really cool videos lined up for 2025, including the 2 huge new setups that we just made a stand for. And hopefully those videos will help me continue on with this growth. That will be insane. We might even reach 10,000 subscribers this year. Who knows? But I think I'm getting ahead of myself by saying something like that. Let's circle back to the beginning of the video and take a look at this notebook to see which of the videos that I wanted to make I actually ended up making. 2024 videos I would like to make. The first one on the list is the riverscape. And as you can see, we made the riverscape. For number 2, I wrote down guppy pond. I wanted to make a little indoor pond for my guppies. I thought it would be a cool idea, but I ended up not doing that and instead putting all of the guppies into my turtle tank. Number 3 is how to plywood aquarium. And following that one on the list is the ropefish jungle. We actually did make that video. Right before we made the ropefish jungle, I made a tutorial on how I make that plywood tank. So yes, we did that video. Next up on the list is fire-belly toad paludarium. Well, back when I wrote this, I didn't even own fire-belly toads. But yeah, we got fire-belly toads. We set them up in a really cool paludarium. Definitely did that one. But what do we have next? It's a bit unclear, but it says German blue ramscape. I wanted to add German blue rams to the room. They're not here yet. I used to have German blue rams before I started this channel. Really like the fish. They have a huge personality and I was thinking of getting them again. But ultimately, as you can see, they're not here. And for now I decided I'm not gonna keep them in this room. I might keep them again in the future, but I would like to focus on animals that I haven't kept before, just to get more experience with different animals. Next on the list is something I still really want to make, and that's an aquarium for some kind of puffer. Back when I wrote this, I was thinking of pea puffers, and during this year I actually also got a few comments asking me to make a pea puffer aquarium. And pea puffers are still the most likely candidates to enter the animal room for now. But I'm also considering a few other types of puffer, like Amazon puffer. But yeah, they're not here yet. They might come in 2025, who knows. Next up is yet another video I did not make this year, and that is fish food 2. Now, after 3 videos we did not make, there's another one on the list we actually did end up making. It's the tank that's right over there. It's a no filter shrimp paludarium. Next up we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3 videos I did not make. We'll go over them real quick. That's a redo of my fishbowl tank. That is a aquascape for a betta, and that's a guide on how to get rid of algae. Then we're back to videos I did end up making. Raising tadpoles, and the last one, Wallstead method. I'm gonna count it. It's not completely a Wallstead method, but I did end up making a few dirty tanks this year, which is loosely a Wallstead method tank. So that is really, really cool.
And this means that out of the 14 IDs, I turned 7 of them into videos.
That's a pretty good score considering that I totally forgot about this list.
Now 2024 has been an amazing year with a lot of cool projects, but be ready for 2025 as I got even better projects lined up for the coming year. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're hungry for more content, I recommend you watch this video next to get up to speed with the story of my spotted turtle. I'll see you there.